Hey, everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey, Katie.
How's it going?
It is going pretty well, except I hope Yellowstone's not trying to blow up on us.
Oh my goodness, there's quite a scene going on, isn't there? Holy cow.
Yeah, it was a big explosion in Yellowstone, guys. Like a hydrothermal explosion.
Yeah. It I had it all written down so I could share with you, and now I'm
It's at
it was at
Biscuit.
Biscuit Basin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is something. Actually, I think I can share it.
Yeah, can you share it? We should show it to you guys.
I think
You
so.
know,
Let me
since
get the
we
right screen
since
up.
we live in the path of the Yellowstone supervolcano, we do keep an eye on these things.
Yeah.
Not that we're like super worried about it, but you
No,
know,
but this is
when
pretty
things blow
crazy.
up there, then we're kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yes, I
not good.
can share it. Give me 1 second. I mean,
Okay.
there were people there and it destroyed the boardwalk. Like this is
Yeah.
big doings.
And they've
It's
closed the whole
wild.
area.
Yeah.
And it's not like it doesn't happen. It does. Um, but it's actually really good because honestly, all of the, steam features and stuff, everything is letting off pressure
Mhm.
from, you know, the big volcano doing its thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show it to you now.
Okay.
Maybe. Probably.
There we go. Whoa. Ooh, people are close, man. Whew.
Yeah.
Yikes, man.
So that was totally unexpected.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's no warning when stuff like that happens. It just happens.
Mhm. Yeah. But definitely it's making everyone go, "Oh no. What's going on up there?" Because that one
Yeah.
doesn't blow very often.
But I mean, there are like hundreds of little earthquakes up there every day.
Yeah.
Like, because it's just constant releasing of pressure from that supervolcano, which is good. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that water would have been very hot. I don't know what the
Oh yeah.
temperature of that particular one is, but oh, yeah, it would have been
Mhm.
super, super hot. That huge steam plume that came up out of it.
Yeah. Poison gas? Probably not. I could be. Probably
Could
not. It was
be.
probably sulfury though.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's very sulfury. Most of the places that you go to in Yellowstone, you smell like, it smells like rotten eggs,
Mhm.
the sulfur smell.
Oh yeah.
It would have been really
Realistic.
intense to be right there with it for sure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But yeah, the rangers came in and closed the entire area. The whole boardwalk is destroyed. I saw some pictures of the rangers standing on the boardwalk, and the one guy's kind of standing there with his hands on his hips, like looking at it like, what the hell are we going to do? Mars goes, I really feel that.
Right? Like, he's like, clean up on aisle geyser. Great.
He's like,
Okay.
well, this is a disaster. Yeah.
So in
It could be,
Idaho,
yeah. It could be toxic. I don't think so because nothing up there really is like toxic to breathe. It's certainly toxic to get your body into, but I don't
yeah,
know.
'cause some of it's very acidic. It could have been acid in the air for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So Leanne says An Idaho geography professor I follow for volcanic news made it a 7-minute video on it on his YouTube channel. Okay.
Ooh,
Teaches
post
in
it in the Discord,
spring.
if you would.
He teaches in Spring Falls. Is it possibly Twin Falls? I don't know what Spring Falls is, but we'll have to look
Me
into
neither.
that.
Unless it's on the other side of the state. Yeah, post it in Discord if you would, Leanne. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Oh, Twin Falls. Yes. Okay. Yeah, yep. Yeah, we'll definitely have to go check that out. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of interesting, some of it hilarious stuff today. But we want to start with a very special song that Katie has put together for a very special someone. Everyone's favorite defense attorney.
Me and AI wrote this.
Yeah.
So
you're going to want to listen.
A lot of credit to AI, honestly. But without further ado, the Ballad of John Pryor.
In the land of Idaho, where the spuds grow tall, lived an attorney named John who answered justice's call. He took up the case of Chad Daybell, oh so grim, defending a tale that was dark and dim. Quite frankly, Judge, I'm just doing my best. Who are the 7 gatherers? They are the ones that caused this mess. I'm an idiot when it comes to technology, but I'll fight for Chad with all my might, you see. There were rogue raccoons and paintball guns so wild, a hostile real estate agent, and a client with a resting toad face, not mild. In a house without a second story, the drama did unfold. The voluminous evidence, all the stories it told. Quite frankly, Judge, I'm just doing my best. Who are the 7 gatherers? They are the ones that caused this mess. I'm an idiot when it comes to technology, but I'll fight for Chad with all my might, you see. Lady Melanie Gibb, where does it end? In this twisted saga, who can we defend? The jury sits silent, the gavel comes down. John Pryor stands firm, never backing down. The evidence was tangled like a yarn ball of lies, but John spoke with fervor, fire in his eyes. With rogue raccoons and agents, oh what a sight. In the heart of Idaho, on a cold dark night. Quite frankly, Judge, I'm just doing my best. Who are the 7 gatherers? They are the ones that caused this mess. I'm an idiot when it comes to technology, but I'll fight for Chad with all my might, you see. So here's to John Pryor, the lawyer so bold. In the annals of Idaho, his story's been told. With rogue raccoons and a hostile estate, he fought for Chad Daybell, sealing his fate.
What do you think? Is it a bop?
It is a bop. So you're a genius. That is absolutely fucking hilarious. I hope if John Pryor heard it, he would be pretty proud of it.
He should be.
He really should. Yeah, I'm an idiot when it comes to technology. That was pretty great.
And who are the 7 gatherers? I love
Yes.
that made it into the chorus.
Oh my gosh, so good. So we did start a SoundCloud because it turns out we're going to do quite a few of these.
Mm-hmm.
And
That got to be funny as hell.
yes. So we are True Crime Squad on SoundCloud. So somebody said they need this in their playlist. Well, you can go, I don't know if have you put this on our SoundCloud yet?
Yeah.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah, I put that in the full letters from
In
Sarah
the full
song,
Sarah.
too. Yeah.
And my, I did one yesterday called Nick Not Arthur. You can imagine who that song is about. So we realized that it might be really funny to make some songs about some of these stories that we know a whole lot about. So SoundCloud is a website where independent artists put up music and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It is a website. It is also an app on Android and on Apple, although I cannot speak to what is available outside the US. But if you go to soundcloud.com and just search True Crime Squad, you're going to find us. We have 3 songs already.
This started because I wanted an intro to my new segment, Letters from Sarah, that I want to read some letters from Sarah Boone to the judge because, my God, are they funny. And so I wanted an intro, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I could put together a little song? So I used AI, obviously, to come up with all of it. And it turned out so funny that we were like, oh, we should play with this some more. And then the Ballad of John Pryor was born. I shared it yesterday on my socials, and some of you guys pointed out some things I forgot. So I remade it. I forgot the luminous. Like, who am I? And I forgot the paintball gun.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot the second story. So I added them all.
Yes, a house with only one story. Oh my God. So funny. Yeah. So, are we going to play the whole Sarah song today? Or do you... Okay.
So I have a letters from Sarah. Well, I don't know. The letters from Sarah intro is so funny with all the actual letters. No, I wanted to share the whole letters from Sarah song. So
yeah,
we'll share that. And then I am going to read you Sarah Boone's latest letter. I had intended to... I ordered a Sarah Boone wig. And it's so freaking funny. It's like
it is
mushroom hair. It'll be perfect. But Amazon
it looks just like her hair.
Yeah. So it's not here today. So I'm going to have to deal with that. But
you'll have it for another day.
For another day.
It's not like there's only one letter.
Oh, no. There's so many of them. This is just the latest letter. So here's the letters from Sarah. And then I'm going to read Sarah Boone's latest letter.
In her soul, she penned with spite. Sarah's letters filled with fight. Judge you're wrong, I must protest. I demand you fix this mess. Sarah's letters rude and bold, disrespecting every foe. From behind those prison walls, her insults reaching near and far. Every letter, every line, your decisions are out of the line. Tune in, hear her rage. Sarah's letters on the stage. In her soul, she pens with spite. Sarah's letters filled with fight. Judge you're wrong, I must protest. I demand you fix this mess. Sarah's letters rude and bold, disrespecting every foe. From behind those prison bars, her insults reaching near and far. Every letter, every line, your decisions are out of line. Tune in, hear her rage. Sarah's letters on the stage. Every letter, every line, your decisions are out of line. Tune in, hear her rage. Sarah's letters on the stage. Every letter, every line, your decisions are out of line. Tune in, hear her rage. Sarah's letters on the stage. On the stage.
Y'all know who this is, right? Betsy said it took me till now to realize who Sarah was. Y'all know who Sarah is.
This, of course, is Sarah Boone, who, as you know, is a soon to stand trial for. She's accused of murdering her boyfriend. They were playing hide and seek, and he was in his. She got him to get in a suitcase and zipped him in, and then let him die. She videoed it. She taunted him. The videos were on her phone. It is honestly such a open and shut case to the prosecution because of all the evidence she provided them that they're only asking for 5 days, including jury selection. But we've been putting this off now for a good 2 years because Sarah cannot get along with her public defenders. She's been through 8 of them now. And the judge has finally said, okay, bitch, you're done. You're done. You're now defending yourself. We're not going to wait. We're going to trial in October. Come what may, you are done. So since then, she's written another love letter to the judge. So I'm going to share that with you. There's a lot of Mark means air quotes in here, so I'll do my best to throw them in. Kind of helps to pick up on the sarcasm. She's heavy on it. This is to the Honorable Judge Michael Kranick. Judge Kranick, where's my discovery? I am still waiting for you to provide me with the contents of what former attorney Cashman supplied you. And the court at the surprise status hearing held in secret on 6/28/24 at 1:30 p.m. Your designated clock of unfair judgment ticks empty and incessantly while waiting for you to deliver. As usual, it is in your favor. In your nonchalant, relaxed, unconcerned attitude of me to receive, you are robbing me of precious, life-saving time to fully and properly defend myself, on top of my already and still being violated constitutional rights and being forced to represent myself based on false information. I do not even know what is contained in said discovery after being withheld from seeing all to date. And for the first time in said surprise status hearing, along with my supposed digital evidence being produced by Cashman, finally, after never being shown anything during her representation, her response to me when I would ask to review was, your first attorney said he reviewed it with you. That was over 4 years ago. You're my attorney now. And no, I did not. This is what I had to deal with. I have not seen it in its entirety and completely to date. Please note, I do not have access to a computer to view these materials. I am doing my very best to figure this and everything else out as I go into my newly unwanted, forced position of pro se. Please do not penalize me even greater than being already. I'm trying. Please know also, I am in an open bay dorm living with 63 other inmates. I need to figure out how to review anything securely and avoid further exploitation and mean ignorance. There is no privacy or individual access in jail. Cashman, I'm glad I could help you shine in the courtroom in front of the judge by you professionally and finally bringing everything I've been asking for since day one. And after I included you on my letter to the judge ensuring return, unlike you, who did not include me on your motion to withdraw. Surprise! And I had to find out from someone else, an officer, 3 days before this surprise status hearing, so you would even know what to bring. Why didn't you bring to any of your so called 20 hours of meeting with me? As always, it's in everyone else's favor but mine. How much real time will I have to prepare and properly? Especially the fact that you have me doing everything while incarcerated. What happens when more time must be utilized to discover where my lost discovery is? I've been asking for repeatedly for depositions, to locate my witnesses, contact anyone via collect phone calls. That's a real hurdle. Wait to receive transcripts, any records, everything I need to finally build my defense. Or is it your plan, your honor, to just leave me out to dry? And in a hurricane. Your time constraints are extreme and unreasonable. Your decision you claim to have considered from your order is illogical and unfair. Specifically, that it has been malformed by your ignorance, inexperience of my case, misinterpretations, straight lies from the attorneys appointed. They are brazen to stand at your pulpit in your courtroom and commit perjury to your face and the world. But yet, it's me. It's my belief, and from your order, that actions speak louder than words. The court is sabotaging me, forcing me, pressuring me, setting me up for failure. If any of the prior attorneys would have included, cared, collaborated during their time of representation, you not being brainwashed and impartial from believing everyone over me, and implementing your own intricately misconstrued, unfair order formulated from, I would not be writing yet another letter, would I? I think, yes, you would. In the meantime, while your clock tick, tick, tick ceaselessly and loudly as I wait for you to deliver anything, even one fingers are noticed. Oh, more fingers are noticed. They really do point back. And I am defending my case against your inaccurate, libelous, I can write letters to order. Please would you post my included document in your break room, wherever you think about and understand, unlike me in your courtroom. How about by the copy machine, where your JAs should have made me, the news crews, court TV, professional YouTubers and photographers, the world, a copy of the notice of hearing where all aforementioned improprieties occurred and then some, including the drop off of my case materials, said order being ordered, and me being pulled by my uniform to exit your courtroom while still trying to speak and defend myself against all the mayhem and chaos, especially the surprise, if even being there unprepared and without notice. Oh, wait, my posting, everything supposedly is public record, and yet there is no notice at all. Another, it's in your favor moment. It's a group effort. Saboteurs. Surprise! I shall return. Nothing is impossible. Believe. Hopeful, grateful, waiting. Thank you for posting. Sarah Boone. Remember, please, Judge Cranick, fair, neutral, impartial, you must be. Always. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4. Well,
She is the biggest Karen that has ever Karened.
that was some heavy duty Karening, but she also included for the judges and the world's viewing pleasure wanted poster. Inmate seeks attorney. Looking for a prosperous challenge? Ready for your close-up on national television? Are you zealous with a side of keen? Show the world who you are with your original creativity, extraordinary expertise, confident ingenuity. Qualifications must include being trustworthy, honest, passion-driven, open-minded, exceptional problem-solving skills, client inclusion at all times, team orientation, collaboration, extreme efficiency in listening, communicating, understanding, dedication to success, possessing a winning mindset, capability of excellence in representation, committed, maintaining a faith in the client and care in the ability to think differently, overcome all circumstances. Epic opportunity awaits. Invest in the oppressed. Believe. What in the actual fuck, Sarah?
Oh my God.
Jennifer says we've got a real 1096 here.
Yeah, we do. We do have a real 1096 here. You it kind of seems like Sarah sort of forgets that she's currently in jail facing murder charges.
Mm-hmm. Bethy says her claim is definitely the baffle them with BS theory.
Right?
Well, I'm baffled.
Totally baffled. And right, Deanna, she's bitching about not having time, but she had time to write that poster, didn't she? And she did receive all of her case materials. They took them over there to her.
Mm-hmm.
She just thinks she has all this evidence that isn't evidence.
Right. And she's out to dry in a hurricane, guys.
Guess you
It's
shouldn't have
just not
killed somebody and filmed it, dumbass.
Mm-hmm. And yes, you will become very prosperous from being her public defender.
Oh my God.
That's going to make you a lot of money.
That is going to make you a lot of zero money.
Mm-hmm. She forgot a few things on the poster, like putting up with a lot of nonsense and bullshit abuse, being harassed day and night constantly from your client, a high likelihood of being fired,
endless
many other
consternation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, extreme efficiency in listening. Oh my God. Listening and agreeing with you are two different things, Sarah. And you don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Kaylin said she was wanting all those past lawyers to do unethical things that would put their law license in jeopardy. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And give her an incredible amount of time. She was always angry because she was calling their offices like a million times a day and they weren't taking her calls. And they weren't talking to her on the weekend and stuff like that. And she was pissed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
and
Rudy
she wants...
Giuliani.
Oh my God.
But I hear he's fallen down quite a bit lately, so I don't know.
Yeah. He was drunk off his ass, I think, at the RNC and fell down. Yeah, there is no one who will please her except someone who gets her released tomorrow and then paid large amounts of money for the injustice. But the bottom line is they have a slam dunk case on her. And all of those defense attorneys know it. They've all seen the videos.
Yeah.
They know. They have nothing. She has no defense.
Nope. She really is wanting them to pull quite the rabbit out of the hat. Well, she still claims that her constitutional rights are being violated. I think that's because of the bail question. She really thinks she's entitled to a new bail hearing, and the judge basically said, "No, we're not doing it. We've already done that. You have your terms. It's not happening." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, through all of this, she really just acts like she's not accused of murder. Except, yeah, she is.
Yep.
Yeah. Right, exactly, Kathy. All they have to do is play the video in court. No witnesses, automatic guilty. Yeah, as he's begging for his life, and she's laughing and taunting him.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep. But yes, she demands bond. She also wants to speak to the manager every moment.
I've wondered when she's going to try to figure out how to go over the judge's head, because she's gone over her attorney's head over and over and over again, and now she's not getting what she wants out of this judge. I mean, the last hearing, he was like, "You have forfeited your right to a public defender, and we're not playing this game again, and you're going to trial in October, and that's just it."
Yep.
And she wants to keep playing this game as long as possible. It keeps her out of prison. Sarah does think she is quite special. Yeah, but remember, it wasn't intentional. Yeah, okay. Sure, Sarah. So when he's begging to be released, saying, "I'm dying, I can't breathe," and you didn't let him out, but that wasn't intentional. Like, what?
Nope.
Insanity.
It is. But speaking of insanity, you're bringing our second part of our of the broadcast today.
Yes. So, want to give big props to East Idaho News. Obviously, this is their interview. I just cut it out. I cut it down to some kind of key elements that we want to talk about what is going on here with Julie Rowe. The first thing that I want to say about Julie Rowe is that Julie Rowe is very genuine in that I think that she absolutely believes all the stuff that she says. I don't think that this is a grift intentionally. I think she believes it. I'm going to call this a mix of QAnon, Mormon beliefs, and very bastardized metaphysical beliefs. It's a combination of all of those things. And we're going to try to explain some of it. And that's why we have about a 20-minute video. We're going to put it up, and then we'll pause it here and there and kind of, because some of the stuff she talks about is absolutely Mormon doctrine, but she has spun it in her own little way. She's done exactly the same thing that Chad Daybell did. Only she's superior to him, guys. Her gifts are better than his, and I'm like, dude, if you, no, no. I mean, as far as we know, she hasn't killed anyone, but it is pretty wild what she says. So let's just bring it up, and we'll just start watching, and I'll pause it here and there, and we'll talk about what's going on. So this interview was actually done 4 days before the children were found, and then it was never aired.
Could you just say and spell your name?
Yeah. Julie Rowe, Julie Rowe.
And how would you describe your relationship with Chad? Former friend, current friend, business acquaintance?
Former friend and business acquaintance. He was my publisher.
So why are you here today, Julie?
Because part of my mission that I agreed to premortally before I came to Earth was to warn and testify of a lot of things, including exposing darkness on every level, layer, realm, and dimension. And I see darkness in this story. It's very hard to talk about, so I appreciate the time you're giving. And I hope people understand that this emotion is because I care deeply about the people involved in it. Everyone from Chad and his family, Lori and her family, even though I never met Lori, and all the parties involved, including millions of people who have been exposed to this energy as a result of all the news that's gone out on it. It's affected millions of people on both sides of the veil. And I made premortal covenants to testify of truth at all costs and to let people know that what has happened with Chad and Lori is not okay.
For those not familiar with the words premortal, you mean before
Right.
this life on
Before
Earth.
this life, we lived in spirit realm. I have memory of it. I had a near-death experience in 2004. It's one of several that I've had. And that's how I know Chad. He published my first 5 books.
Yeah, talk about how you...
So let's talk about premortal for a moment, because that might not be a term y'all are familiar with. That's a very Mormon word. The premortal existence, we were taught as little kids, is where the war in heaven occurred, and all of us good kids who came here as Mormons, we chose to be on Heavenly Father's side. And then there were a bunch of people who chose to be on Satan's side. And they're here too. And they are working for Satan. And they are constantly whispering in our ear to tempt us into sin. Mormons believe that Satan is working on them all the time, all day, every day, to get them to sin and live against the church.
Yeah. It's they believe that 1/3 of the host of heaven sided with Satan.
Yeah.
Or Lucifer. Yeah.
And it depends on who you read, because it's either 1/3 or it's 2/3. And it's not always consistent. And that's very typical with Mormonism. Lots of things are inconsistent, and lots of things change over time. Doctrine changes over time. She does very genuinely believe these things, though, but a lot of that came right from our upbringing as Mormon children, and hers. That we all are here on a mission. You hear that word mission used by Mormons a lot, and there are Mormon missions, of course, that young people go on them, and retired people go on them. But we're basically the language that we were raised with is every member a missionary. It meant that we were here to draw more people into Mormonism, and that was like our whole purpose of being on this planet, while also fighting off the constant influence
Temptation.
of Satan.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd add to that, Katie?
No, I think that covered it.
Okay.
Met Chad and Tammy. Did you seek them out because you had this
No.
experience? How did that work?
No. So I was shown in dream and vision, and during my near-death experience, I was told in 2004, I was on the other side of the veil for 2.5 days. I was essentially in a comatose state.
So you were dead.
I was not dead. I was still alive, but I was asleep. According to the hospital records, I was in a comatose
What happened?
state. My heart was still beating.
Were you in an accident or?
No, I was later diagnosed with Lyme or do anything to try to publish my book or anything. But when I had this, that had been going on for a couple days. When I had this attack, I was at a restaurant, and I went into the restroom because it got so severe. I was just trying to get away from the group that I was with so I could kind of work through the energy that was happening. And I ended up very, very sick, throwing up in the restroom, and it got worse, and I ended up basically collapsing on the floor of the restroom bathroom. And that's when I heard very clearly, "Have no fear." And I said, "Why does this keep happening to me?" And what I heard was an audible voice that said, "Don't ask why, ask what, and ask how." At that moment, I said that in my thoughts, and I felt this swishing energy, and I felt this light come in, and the demon or whoever it was that had me around the neck, I felt it release, and I had some interesting visuals about light warriors that came in, and there was basically a battle going on right there in that bathroom.
Between light and dark.
Yes, yeah. And with the gifts that I have, because of my veil being thin, I don't see everything. It's pretty crazy stuff. The veil really is a blessing for people. So anyway, that's the background. So I knew it was coming, I just didn't know when. And then he private messaged.
So the veil, another Mormon belief, and I think that other religions use this idea too, but the other side of the veil just means where everyone who has passed away is, and that there's a veil or a barrier between us and the other side.
Yeah.
Julie talks a lot about being attacked by demons, dark entities, darkness, And she talks a lot about having very spiritual experiences. And I don't doubt that people have very spiritual experiences. But, right, Deanna, there can be medical and psychiatric reasons for those kinds of experiences as well. I cut out some of this because she gets very long-winded, but she had a near-death experience where she kind of had a bunch of visions, and she had talked about him for a while, and a friend of hers said she should write a book. And so she had a vision that a man was going to come to her to help her write her book. And that's who she believes that Chad Daybell is the person that was prophesied to her to come help her bring her book to the world. Did you catch the look on Nate's face? It pretty much stays exactly the same through this entire interview. Being a true believing Mormon, he is trying not to be overly skeptical and trying not to be judgmental, but probably a lot of what Julie has to say makes him very angry and makes him feel very defensive of the Mormon Church. He does a fairly decent job of keeping it under wraps, except for the look on his face, which he doesn't seem to be able to control.
And it's obvious why this has not been released in the past.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't relevant. It's also not news,
right,
in a sense.
Well, they also have a pretty long conversation, we'll get to it in a minute, about what happened to the kids and where are they. And if Julie is a visionary, why doesn't she know?
Interesting.
Yeah. So let's keep going.
Messaged me. I was prompted to post more about my dreams and visions and started posting about my near death. And then he found me, and in February he messaged me, private message, and said, I'm an author and publisher, would you be interested in doing a book? And I saw his picture, and he looked different than what I had in my mind's eye. They showed me like a different look because his picture was earlier, so actually he looked like what I saw when I met him in the summer of 14. But I wrote my first book in 6 weeks. So we started it in March. I gave him the first draft in 3 weeks. I went to Grand Canyon with my family for spring break for 5 days. He did initial edits, and it went to press 3 weeks later after that. And so it went to press in April of 14 and came out early to mid-May of 14. I didn't meet Tammy and their kids and Chad in person until July of 14.
So later
in
that summer.
Provo, because they were living in Springville. I met them in Provo.
What was Chad like? What was his family like?
Very nice. Socially introverts, all of them. Very, very kind of quiet people. The contrast in energy was kind of crazy because my kids and I, and my husband we're pretty talkative, loud people, you know? So our family cultures were like opposite. I would say honestly, they're socially awkward, but really nice people. Really, really nice people.
And from what I understand, your first book did pretty well.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many copies we sold. I heard that how do I explain that? I did not foresee, and I still have not seen exactly what happened to Tammy and the kids. I'm being blocked from that. The Lord tells me that is for my protection and that I am being unveiled more. So we're all veiled. And there's not a single visionary on the planet that sees everything, right? Because you still have a veil. Even people that have these amazing gifts that seem like, they can see, you can't. That's not how it works. You get bits and pieces. You might get a flash. You might get a scene. Every now and then it looks like a video, but there's always pieces missing. And then you, based on your own belief system, which can often be false beliefs, you put the pieces together to make sense of what you're seeing. And it's the same thing with the hearing gifts, right? And you have to learn to discern, is this coming from the light side? Is this coming from the dark side? Because they can imitate. Satan has a counterfeit for everything. And he has his spirits that pretend to be the Lord, or pretend to be Joseph Smith, or pretend to be whoever, right? and they're very good at mimicking. And after being and reigning on this planet for thousands of years, they have mastered body language, energy. They can, there's this false belief that the adversary can't read your thoughts. Well, they can read thought energy, and depending on
Okay, so this is her sort of defending why she doesn't know what happened to Tammy and the kids. But what she's saying here, her belief is that there are equal amounts of good light entities and dark entities, and that any time one or the other could be speaking to you. She believes that the adversary, which is what Mormons call Satan, can read her thoughts and can be deceiving her at all times. And she's going to get to it in a minute, but that's what happened to Chad, is that he's just being deceived.
Boy, that's a
that's
pretty
a
classic
hardcore.
Mormon line.
It is. It is. Anytime anybody has a thought or a feeling or a question that is out of line within Mormonism, they are being deceived by the adversary.
Yep.
You're being deceived. If you don't agree with and follow exactly what you're being told to do, you are being deceived and tempted by the adversary. It's a win for Satan. That's another one we've heard many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is her, explaining her spiritual gifts, which I don't doubt that she is a pretty sensitive person and has had some spiritual experiences. I think that the filter that she is passing them through is where the problems really come in. But it's very interesting. He challenges her several times that, aren't you just doing exactly the same as Chad was? Well, yeah, but he was being deceived.
Right.
But how do we know you're not being deceived, Julie, in this belief system? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
She, interestingly, is one of the few people in this world with Chad that actually did know Tammy.
Right.
She didn't know her super well, but Tammy did, the editing and the cover design on her books. And so they communicated a few times over that.
Yep.
Yes, Candy, that Lori did tell Melanie during the scripture dance-off phone call that we've talked about lots of times. Lori told Melanie Gibb that she was being deceived, and Melanie Gibb told Lori that she was being deceived. It was just like anytime anybody you don't agree, then that person is being deceived by the adversary.
And of course, you are right. They are wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
There's a lot of arrogance in it.
There really is.
How smart that individual is, because they have their ranks, right, of their, they have their, I guess you could call them their minions or their entry-level infantry type soldiers, and then they have their lieutenants and captains and generals that are more skilled at rising the ranks, and they're taught and they're schooled just like we have on the light side with our light warriors. And so depending on who you're listening to or what your gifts are and what your belief system is or false belief, or if you have impure heart energy, which every one of us has because we live in a telestial world and we have imperfect DNA that's been passed down, and there's a lot of factors there. When we have any kind of impure energy like lust or pride or ego or arrogance or vain ambition, which is, and I'm not casting stones at Chad, this is literally what the Lord's told me, that is what his downfall was, is that he was looking through dirty filters. And the adversary can implant false visions and can implant false thought energy and make you think that it's a light warrior or the Lord, or sometimes you think it's actually your own voice. And it goes both ways with light or dark. Does that make sense?
Didn't you say that you had a vision that the kids were safe?
So yes, but I've been unveiled on some more of that.
Tell me about that.
I was told the kids are safe. I saw them in a room in a house. with this beautiful furniture. There was like this couch and there's like these wicker chairs, super bright, big windows. Through the window, I could see palm trees and ferns and beautiful tropical. And then out the window, it was like a beachfront property, and I could see the beach, the sand. And then they showed me a scene where the kids were at the beach, and Tylee was with them. And there were other adults in the room. I could sense them and feel them, but they didn't show me who they actually were. Well, then they showed me Chad and Lori in Hawaii at the beach. The room I saw was different. I would see them at a resort, and then I saw them in some other room, but I couldn't tell exactly if they're in the same room. So I made an assumption, fully admit, that I assumed they were all together. Okay? Well, it wasn't until, I don't know how long after, that 3 or 4 weeks or something after I came out with my first podcast, and I said, the kids are safe, and I see them in Hawaii, and they're all at the beach or whatever, that then I started learning some more things. You need to like listen better. You need to, there's some other things you need to learn here. And then the scene changed, and I saw Chad and Lori still at the beach and mostly at the resort, but they were going different places. I saw them on the island of Lanai, and I was told they were there just a couple of days. And I still saw the kids at the beach, but I never actually saw them together. And then I saw the kids in another room, and I started picking up. So at first, the emotions, because I'm an empath, on both sides of the veil, I can sense energy and the feelings and emotions of people. And I was contrasting it because Tammy, for 3 weeks, was overjoyed and happy, and I saw a big reunion for her with all her ancestors, and they were so happy to have her home. And that was for about 3 weeks while I was seeing the kids in a good place. And Charles was in this darker dimension, and he was depressed, he was upset, he felt betrayed, he felt guilty and shame and all these negative emotions that I often see when people are in a spirit prison type situation. And he was sitting on this old wooden chair in a corner with no lights on. There's just a dim light coming through, and he had his hands like this, not in a good place, and very concerned about his kids, concerned about what had happened to him, concerned about Lori, lots of negative emotion. And I would talk to Charles and try to work through it with him, and he was not ready to talk. It was like he was in a state of shock about what was going on, and he was trying to process, because we're the same people on the other side of the veil when we go in spirit realm as we are here. Well, then time goes on, and Alex dies, and I see Alex, and he's in an even darker dimension, way darker than Charles. And so I'm trying to make sense of what I'm seeing in the energy as the story is unfolding, as more evidence is coming out. And the emotions I felt from Alex, when I would try to talk to Alex, Alex wouldn't even talk to me. He was so angry, and he wanted nothing to do with me. He just was so angry. And he felt betrayal, a lot of anger, some hatred, frustration, lots of shame. So I was trying to make sense of that. Was starting to happen about the time you did your interview in Hawaii where the cops found them for the first time. Mm-hmm. Yes, kind of. I am...
When were you excommunicated?
April 9th of 2019.
Sorry, wanted to pause that there because that was a big jump in time. So she's trying to, justify what she's seen before. And at one point she does say, and I didn't catch that because I was just trying to cut this down so we didn't have to watch the entire thing, that at one point she realized that maybe what she's seeing the kids is on the other side. But that she basically said that the kids were in Hawaii and that they were fine, is what she'd been saying. And then all this weird stuff about Alex and about Charles and Alex will not communicate with her, apparently. That's what she says. I do think, and I totally agree, Kathy, that she does give empaths a bad name. I do think that Julie is an empath. I think that she's trying to use this very messed up belief system she's got to try to explain that and understand herself. And so there are a lot of leaps in explaining it.
Mm-hmm.
And there is mental illness there, Kaylin, and I agree,
Mm-hmm.
there is. And she's struggled a whole lot. Julie has had a very hard life,
Mm-hmm.
and she's trying to make sense. The problem that I have with it is that not only is she, you know, involving herself in this situation, or trying to, but she's also teaching these things to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks a lot about having individual private sessions with people that she calls counseling. Julie is not a counselor.
Yeah.
Julie is not a mental health professional at all. And she is struggling with her own mental health really significantly. And then she's putting this belief system that she's created out of a bunch of different experiences in her life
Mm-hmm.
onto other people. And I think that that's really irresponsible.
Mm-hmm.
Nate is very much Mormon. I don't know who you are in the chat, but Nate is most definitely Mormon.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, really interesting. So now what they're getting into right here is that Julie was excommunicated in April of 2019 from the Mormon Church because of her books and because of this stuff that she's teaching, because it is, that they would say when they excommunicated her. Nate is Mormon, guys. Nate is most definitely Mormon. He's local. We live here. He's Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
But she was excommunicated for basically apostasy and blasphemy, for
Yeah.
all the stuff that she's teaching that does not align. And
Mm-hmm.
they would say that she is the one who is being deceived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, certainly. And you got to know, too, that during this time, while the kids were missing, for the longest time, she defended Chad online
She did.
aggressively.
Mhm.
And then if somehow a switch flipped and suddenly she started saying completely different things and saying that he'd done things to her and, kind of alluded to them maybe having a relationship. Like things really changed all of a sudden.
Mhm.
But there for quite a while, she was really defending Chad and tearing into anybody who's, was skeptical about where the kids were or what the hell Chad was up to. But
Yeah.
she was all over the map during this time.
Yeah, she definitely was. So this is them having a discussion about her excommunication and how she feels about that.
2019, so a year ago.
A little over a year ago. Yeah. It still hurts. I love the Lord with all of my heart. I love Father. I love Mother. I love my family, Nate. I will do anything for them. I know that I was called premortally to do this work, that I'm still being called to do it, and that I accepted, and that it comes at cost. I also know that in the book of Isaiah, it prophesies of the last days, the book of Revelations, 2nd and 3rd Nephi, and the book of Mormon, book of Joel, of where we are in the last days prior to the Lord's return. And I witness and testify that he is coming in my lifetime. I don't know when. And that I am just supposed to help prepare the way for that. And to prepare my family. And it's very painful what the church has done to me and my family. It is.
So what she's saying here about that Jesus will return in her lifetime and she's preparing for that, every Mormon child is taught that. Every generation is taught they are the chosen generation and they will see Jesus return to earth. And we're about the same generation as Julie Rowe. But I'll tell you what, it's still going on now. It's been going on
Oh, yeah.
ever since the Mormon Church began.
Yeah.
And so everybody believes that and is taught that it's their job to, be prepared, and it's going to be their job to help when it happens, and all that stuff. So it's definitely, you get taught you're the chosen generation.
Mm-hmm.
Every generation's
I
been
can't
the chosen
imagine how many of
generation.
us have in our patriarchal blessings that
Yes.
Christ will return while we're living. I mean,
Yeah.
practically everyone I know who's had a patriarchal blessing says that their patriarchal blessing says that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And she's taken this to a very extreme degree, that belief, because earlier she talks about she believes she talks to God and that God has told her things. And this is why Chad is deceived. But the problem is you can't differentiate between the God that told her stuff and God that told Chad stuff. And this is where we run into a lot of trouble. And I know a lot of religious people struggle with this, but it is particularly common in Mormonism. And I honestly think it is because Mormons believe that they have a prophet who is living on earth at all times. Their church is led by someone who has a direct line to God.
Yeah.
And people take that and go, well, if they can, why can't I? And that's where a lot of these splinter groups come from.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Saturday's Warrior, Paula, right? Ugh, yikes. Okay, let's get back to Julie.
And I've been through some hard things, but it is the most painful thing I have ever been through and am going through.
You still go to meetings?
Well, no, they got COVID.
Well, you're right.
No, I have home
Pre-March.
church with my family every Sunday.
You still
Yes.
read the scriptures? Do you still
Yes.
believe the Book of Mormon?
Yes.
And do you believe the 12 apostles and the first presidency?
I know that we've been infiltrated. I know that
Infiltrated meaning some?
yes.
You believe some of them.
Oh, first of all, this would have Nate's hackles up big time. Because she's saying basically that some of the general authorities of the Mormon church are compromised and that they're not all speaking for God and that they're not all good guys. And for true believing Mormons, the first presidency, which is the prophet and his counselors and the 12 apostles, those 15 men are literally superheroes. To get to meet them is like the highlight of someone's life, and they are held up on pedestals that are so high you can barely see them. So for her to say that, when I heard it, I was like, well, that's why she's been excommunicated right there, number one. Number two, Nate, I'm sure over the years, you got to remember, this was in 2020. And Nate, somebody said it seems like he's a little more relaxed about some things. I think that it's just he's more experienced as a reporter and recognizing that he can't let his religious beliefs color what he's doing. You'll notice that they don't use video of him very much in this interview. And I would imagine that they're trying to only use video when he looks neutral, because when she says this, I don't think he was looking neutral, because this is a huge doubting the prophet, doubting the general authorities. That'll get you kicked right out. It's
But
actually
that
what
really
Chad-
lines up
what
with
Chad
Chad's.
did.
Exactly. I was going to say
Yeah.
that really lines up with what Chad said and did, and his, belief that the authorities of the church were no longer relevant. That's why he was having to step in and be that authority. And of course, that Salt Lake City was going to be knocked down in a huge earthquake, and they'd be rebuilding the church here, and that he would be the prophet, that he was the new prophet. Yeah. Because they were irrelevant now because they didn't believe the same things he believed.
Yeah. Julie is not that far off from Chad's beliefs. She really isn't. And that's just something to be aware of.
Well, they were both really actively writing and appearing in the AVOW group at this point. I mean, she was very much a part of that same stuff.
Did she speak out about church leaders before getting booted? Yeah, I believe so. And you don't get to publicly doubt the leadership of the Mormon church and remain a member. They don't allow that. Julie does have children, yes. She does. Let's see. See what else we've got here.
the leadership of the church.
Yes. I know that the Lord is still working to guide them. And I see us going into apostasy in the church. I see the church going into apostasy. This is what pains me. This is what pains me the most. They can excommunicate me, but it pains me to see them aligning with global elites in the UN. It pains me to see that they're teaching some false doctrines. But again, it's all been prophesied. It's all been planned for. I saw this, almost 16 years ago. It was spelled out to me. I saw it very clearly. I've seen it over and over and over in day and night vision to prepare me and hopefully to help prepare other people that this is what's happening. And this is why, in part, we will have the tribulations and why there is and will be a cleansing and a sifting. So I see the bigger picture, at least some of it, not all of it, right? Pieces of it, but enough to give context and to still have hope. That is why I named my first book A Greater Tomorrow, because we have amazing days on this planet. My message is not doomsday, far from it. My message is we're going to go through some really hard times, harder than we've ever had on this planet. But when we rise above it and we get through it, this planet is going to be gorgeous. It's going to be so light and so bright and so glorious that people can't even imagine. And they've given me the conscious of that energy. And it's the same with my excommunication, right? That degree of betrayal, I get the opposite of that in the light, the comfort from the spirit and the calm and the level of peace.
So first of all, a lot of this is exactly what Chad Daybell also said. Also what she's implying here is that her excommunication was done by the dark.
Yep.
Which implies her being excommunicated. The decision to do that and continue, to move forward with her excommunication was done by someone who's in the darkness or works for Satan. And that's what she's saying has infiltrated the leadership of the Mormon Church. So that's super major apostasy.
Yeah. And it's again that whole, if you don't agree with me, you're being deceived routine.
Yeah. And if you don't agree with the decisions that the Mormon leaders make, you are being deceived by Satan. They are never wrong. And they make those statements, have made statements like that in their scripture and then from the pulpit and in like general conference meetings and stuff all the time. The prophet and the general authorities are never wrong. Never. Yikes. Yes. And then you get the global elites in the UN stuff, and that's, she's a QAnoner.
Yeah.
And so you mix that in here. I mean, it's a lot.
That was a biggie. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real big one. Exactly, Kaylin. And unfortunately, there are a lot of Mormons that are QAnoners and Mormons.
Well,
That's
and then
very
she's
common here where we live.
Oh yeah, very common. And then she's also, shaken in a good dose of New Age spirituality. Kind of just put it all in a blender, and this is what you got.
Yeah. And a lot of the New Age stuff is poorly understood, and she throws out a lot of terms, but without really knowing what they mean, or, the Mormon side of New Age spirituality is very bastardized. We've seen a lot of it around here. But yeah, it's definitely a mix of all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see what else she's got.
In my heart. They can falsely accuse me all day long, whether it's the church or people online or people I've met or whatever, right? That betrayal, I'm pretty used to betrayal energy now. But when they affect the people that I love, which are my friends and family on both sides of the veil, that are being lied to, that are being manipulated or coerced or controlled or abused in any form of fashion, no matter what the institution or organization is, on either side of the veil in any dimension, that is when war is declared in my heart. And the best way the light side combats the enemy, this weapon is my heart. And as much as Lucifer wants to mention, that is when war is declared in my heart. And the best way the light side combats the enemy is to spread love and light. And the Lord continues to tell me that my greatest weapon is my heart. And as much as Lucifer wants to try to turn my heart dark by people like Chad Daybell, I refuse to let it happen. Because the Lord continues to give me peace and tell me that my heart is my greatest weapon. And what that means is when I love and I continue to serve and give, then I can help fulfill part of my mission and my promises to my brothers and sisters that I made eons ago, which is to open and heal the hearts of the children of men. That is my mission. I'm supposed to warn and testify and all that, right? Do the energy work. But it really at the core is to help open and heal the hearts of the children of men so that people, as we go into the dispensation, can have their hearts opened and softened to be receptive to the Lord's gospel so they can go into the light, whatever degree that is. So that when I see Charles, and hopefully he's listening, he can know it's going to be okay. Have faith. The truth is going to come out about how you died. The truth is going to come out about what you did to try to help Lori. The truth is also going to come out about how he mistreated her sometimes. And if he can push through his fear on that, then he'll move more into the light, right? And if Lori and Chad can humble themselves and look at where they went wrong or where they are going wrong and how they can correct their own energy, and hopefully then that has a ripple effect. And it really starts at the heart. And that's no different for Alex, right? If he is guilty of murder, well, we know he has killed someone and that's got grievous consequences. But even those who murder or commit suicide, there is hope. It is not over. There is still repentance. Does that make sense? And that's a false doctrine that's been taught. That, if you commit suicide or you murder, you're just damned forever. That's a lie. About. And whether it was a conscious thing he did or not, some of it has been conscious and some of it's been in spirit realm that he might not be fully conscious of in this body. But at the root of it, repentance. Acknowledging selfishness, acknowledging lust energy, acknowledging that he's been deceived, acknowledging that he is hurt and is hurting his children, acknowledging that he's made mistakes and that he is not the Davidic servant. He and Lori are not the Davidic couple or in the Davidic presidency.
So what she's saying here is Davidic. He is not the Davidic servant, Chad.
Mhm.
So the Davidic servant it's from the book of Isaiah, and it's supposed to be the person who ushers in the second coming of Christ. And that she's saying that, and the way she says it, it's hard to understand what she's saying, but she's saying Davidic. And that's worth looking up and looking into if you never have and reading about it. It is the same thing when Spring Thibodeau and her brother kidnapped her son. They were headed to Alaska with him. He was 16, and they believed that he was the Davidic servant. So this, I don't remember anything about the Davidic servant in my own upbringing as a Mormon.
I don't either.
But this has gotten somewhere, it's gotten into this group of folks that are into the prepper, end of the world, bringing about the second coming people, that this Davidic servant thing has been kind of mixed in there.
Yeah, it's been really pulled up. Yeah.
It kills me that she disparages Charles there. Like he did some bad things to Lori or whatever, which there's absolutely no evidence of at all. And he was murdered because of this insanity. She did say at one point that about a month before Tammy was killed, that she had a vision that Tammy was in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Did she tell Tammy? She sure didn't.
No. And she had heard Chad say many times that Tammy was not going to live much longer. Like she'd been listening to all this prophecy from Chad.
Right.
She knew plenty about what was going on with Chad and Lori, and Tammy, who was her friend, sure didn't hear it
Yeah.
from her.
No. No. Yeah, it's a very interesting stance that she's taking there on suicide and murder, because that is a big departure from the Mormon Church's stance on suicide and murder.
Yeah, totally. It bugs me to no end to hear people lump suicide and murder into the same,
Yeah.
put it in the same box. Yeah, but yeah, and the church apparently has veered away from that belief now as well. It used to be in the Mormon Church, if somebody commits suicide, they were in the deepest of deep shit forever.
Mhm.
But apparently the church has changed their position on that as well now too. But
Well, that's the thing you have to know about the Mormon Church. The Mormon Church has changed its position on pretty much everything multiple times. That's why all of this gets so confusing, is because there is no hard and fast doctrine that has stayed the same. It doesn't exist.
it used to be in the church, suicides were treated with the greatest level of cruelty to families than I could even describe.
Mhm.
But
It's
apparently,
why
we've heard from people that are still active that that's changed a lot.
Yeah, interesting considering the stance on the LGBT community and how many suicides are being caused by the Mormon Church. But we've talked before, I think, on here about the suicide rate here in Idaho and how high it is. It is extremely high. And when we were kids, single car accidents, cleaning your gun accidents, accidental overdoses were always deemed accidental, even though as a social worker, I look back on those and go, they were suicides. But the community, people would do anything to get a death deemed not a suicide because of the stigma around it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
pretty interesting there. But yeah. Mormons have always been against crosses. We were never allowed to wear a cross. Mormon
Oh,
churches
no.
don't have crosses in them. That was like a blasphemous thing to do. And now that has changed,
Just recently.
and they're
Yeah.
wearing crosses. And yeah, it's very weird. If you grew up prior to 2020, in the Mormon church, you would never believe for 1 minute that there were crosses, that people wore crosses and stuff. No.
No.
We never had a crucifix. No, you weren't allowed to have anything like that. Even drawing one on paper could get you in trouble.
Right. Those were things that were seriously looked down on.
Yeah. Okay. We're almost done.
They never have been, and they never will be. They have been deceived and used by Lucifer to further Lucifer's plans. And he does not have a mission or a role working with the 144,000. They are not translated. They are not on track for that. What they are on track for right now, unless they repent and stop what they've done and correct the energy, is a path of continued destruction. And it's not too late for them or anybody else within the sound of my voice to see the light.
Julie Rowe, thank you.
I just want to say a few things.
Yeah, we're not going to listen to those few things. She went on for like... Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. She went on for several minutes, just basically sort of prophesying and testimony bearing, and I was like, I think we get it. I think we get it. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So anyway, I can see why they never aired it. They were getting some heat from her and her people, I guess, that they'd done this interview and never aired it. And Nate was like, fine, we're going to air it unedited. Here you go.
Yep.
Do you think it did her any good?
No.
It did not.
Yikes.
Right? Him trying to end it and it just going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did. But I was like, yeah, we don't need to listen to all that. But interesting stuff. I mean, I have always had concerns for her and still do. Just her mental health is not stable and she lives with a lot of fear. She talks a lot about being attacked, physically attacked, like getting beat up by Satan's minions and stuff. I mean, there's some real concern of what's all mixed in there.
Yikes. That is something.
Yeah. And that's right, Leanne. Nate never asked for this interview. She basically pressured them into it and just kind of showed up and said, I want to do an interview. She has tried repeatedly to insert herself into this situation in ways that she really didn't have any reason to be in it.
Yeah. Still very curious about the fact that when she showed up to court in Boise that they made her leave.
Yeah.
Was she on the witness list? Was that why?
We've never known for sure.
Yeah.
If she
We're
was on a
assuming that's why.
witness list, but yeah, assumed that she was subpoenaed but never called.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kaylin, I agree. It is dangerous that she's influencing and counseling people with the
and
challenges
calling
that
what
she
she's doing
experiences.
counseling.
Yeah.
She could be giving readings. She could be doing life coaching. There's a lot of things she could call what she's doing that would be understandable, but to call it counseling is really disingenuous and not.
She used that
okay
word
to
several
do.
times, and it's actually illegal
Yeah.
to call yourself a counselor. In some states, it depends. On some states, some of those words are protected, and you can only call yourself that if you are a licensed professional. Yeah.
Yeah, that should not be happening. Yeah. Yeah, just me like court when she showed up to in partway through Chad's trial, the bailiffs made her leave. We've always been curious about that.
Yeah. Our guess was that she was subpoenaed in order to keep her out of the courtroom, because there really wasn't any reason to put her on the stand. She didn't have any direct knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Wild. Ooh, Trash Panda, I wore cross earrings to church. It was the Madonna 80s. I was a rebel. Man, I am impressed that those didn't get just ripped right out of your ears.
My grandma wouldn't have stood for that.
No, not at all. Whew, well, that's what we've got for you. This has been a bit of a wackadoodle day. We will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Mountain for case updates. And we're going to have a lot more for you. So go check out our SoundCloud, of course. I'll put it up on truecrimesquad.com to make it easier to find it as well. But yeah, we've kind of gotten into writing what do we call it? Like parody music for true crime? I don't even know what to call it.
I don't even know.
Comedy music for true crime, something like that. But I have
We need it.
I have several ideas in my head. I just need to sit down and spend some time. But I have some ideas for some more songs of things that will be very immediately identifiable to you all. And the rest of the world will be like, what the hell does any of this mean? Well, if you know, you know.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so very much for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, and leave a review. It does help us to grow. And you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.